Hi everyone. So we've spoken about long-term property investments and some of the basics of the Indian real estate market, but today's topic may be a bit closer to home for a lot of the people watching. Some reports suggest that the Indian residential rental market is a bit underdeveloped, but as a lot of us have experienced, renting an apartment in a city in India today as a young student or a working professional is not that easy. So today we're going to talk about why renting in India is hard, what some of the structural problems are, what the existing shared housing market looks like, and how all of this might be changing soon through a new concept called co-living. Even though rental housing makes up a significant proportion of urban markets in India, we have seen it to be a little more informal, with individual property owners renting out their own flats instead of companies, and PGs and hostels also being run by individual owners. As per data from the National Sample Survey Office, in 2012, 71% of Indians living in rented accommodation did not have a formal rental agreement with their landlord. The Rent Control Act, as enacted by various states, has also been seen to be a deterrent to the growth of rental markets in India. The government is trying to introduce the Draft Model Tenancy Act. This would reform the existing rent control acts, streamline the process of renting and dispute resolution between a landlord and a tenant, along with clarifying the responsibilities of both the tenant and the landlord in these situations. As of now, when one wants to rent an apartment, there are several additional costs and hurdles that you have to go through. Some of these additional costs could include brokerage, stamp duty and registration, and utility bills depending on your rental agreement. Further, a lot of these apartments tend to come unfurnished or semi-furnished, which only increases the cost. Beyond this, some landlords require police verification, and in a lot of cases, you will need to get a no objection certificate from the building society. Unfortunately, it is quite common for societies to prefer renting apartments out to families, which leaves out a large population of working professionals, students, and people who have migrated to a different city for their work or education. Therefore, the shared housing options available to these groups tend to be more informal. In a report about the scope of co-living in India, Cushman Wakefield outlines the problems with the existing shared housing supply in the market. Some of these issues include a total lack of flexibility, a lack of amenities, and in some cases even restrictions on the social life of tenants. These issues are driving younger tenants to look for options with more flexibility and even possibly a higher standard of living, which is where a new concept called co-living is making an impact. Co-living is a far better managed shared housing system with more amenities and comforts along with less rules and regulations as compared to a standard student hostel, paying guest, or even normal rental arrangement. Such facilities usually offer common amenities such as Wi-Fi, shared kitchens, housekeeping, and a lot more, all included in the monthly rent amount. It is a kind of plug and play system which allows for increased flexibility also in terms of exiting a lease. While some of these firms are aggregators that manage and rent out landlords' existing inventory, other firms in this space are full stack operators and are making complete co-living spaces. While basic co-living arrangements include a dormitory style format, standard co-living arrangements could be an upgraded version of a PG or paying guest kind of system. So what are some of the benefits of this kind of system? The first one obviously is that it's hassle-free, and a lot of firms in this space are also leveraging technology for customer service, property management, and generally a lot of the tenant facing side of things. These co-living arrangements provide better properties and amenities than a young working professional could afford in the middle of urban India today. Another important draw of these co-living facilities, of course, is the community aspect. Having people of a similar age and demographic creates a kind of social ecosystem in these facilities and allows the tenants to interact with a lot of new people. The same report suggests that a sweet spot in this market could be reached at a rent per person per month between 10 to 15,000 rupees, which compares favorably with rent amounts in large metro cities. Before the pandemic hit, this industry was expanding rapidly, expecting to reach $14 billion in business and 6 million beds over the next 5 years. Some of the startups in this space are Solo Stays, Nestaway, co-live, and a lot more. However, given the community-centric living arrangements in a co-living facility, the pandemic hit this industry particularly hard. Until the start of the year, occupancy was high at about 80 to 90% at most of these facilities, but COVID has changed a lot of that. Speaking about the impact of the pandemic on co-living, an executive from Nestaway suggested that organic demand fell as people moved back to their hometowns since they were working from home. Some other firms suggest that as this market continues to normalize, there will be a push towards co-living spaces instead of informal paying guest arrangements. This could also be boosted by the fact that a lot of these firms have placed an emphasis on cleanliness and sanitation along with providing healthcare services to some of their tenants. While this industry has been hit quite hard by the pandemic, it is estimated that by the end of the year, these companies will be back to 2019 levels, both in terms of occupancy and rentals. All of these factors could come together to encourage tenants to have more flexibility and a better standard of living for themselves. All of this comes with the backdrop of housing unaffordability still being a problem in India. Just a couple of years ago, the home price to income ratio in cities like Mumbai is still as high as 7.2. What this means is that a household will have to pay 7.2 times their yearly income to buy a home in that city. Given all of these facts, I see co-living being an important part of Indian rental markets moving forward. Alright everyone, thank you for listening. I would really love to know if any of you watching have faced the problems we discussed about renting, so please do let me know in the comments below. As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you soon.